2023 has been a crazy year in the video games industry. Growth has been flat, there have been a ton of layoffs and closures, and Microsoft paid almost double of what Activision Blizzard was worth before the pandemic. Fortunately, in the adult games industry, we're continuing to see record growth as more and more people discover how awesome this space can be. It hasn't been without hardship. Germany, Italy, China, and Australia have all cracked down on adult content creators, and we have seen multiple high-profile arrests over the past year. That is one of the tough things about being part of a global community. Every country and culture has a very different idea about what is acceptable, moral, and most importantly, legal. A developer in Japan is likely going to have a very different experience than a developer in Saudi Arabia, let alone what we as consumers have to deal with. Is that game you're playing on Steam legal in your home country? Are you sure? I've talked about this on my Patreon over the past year, and I'd love to be able to talk about this on YouTube as well in 2024, if our alphabet overlords allow it. But we're here to talk about the best adult games of 2023. I'm using these same game categories covering the most popular flavors as the previous years. Top romance game, top NTR game, top harem game, top LGBTQIA+ game, top monster game, best girl, best art in a game, best music in a game, my favorite game, and game of the year. To qualify, a game has to be released or completed between December 1st, 2022 and November 30th, 2023. For the top games and game of the year, I use data from Patreon, Steam, itch.io, GOG, and DLSite. This includes sales numbers, reviews, and a whole lot of other factors. As always, all links can be found for free on my Patreon, because YouTube has really cracked down on this channel over the last 2 years, and makes it very hard for me to share with you all. Comments you all make will often get deleted, videos get suppressed, and almost always demonetized. Don't worry though, I am committed to continue to talk about the safe and healthy exploration of sex and sexuality in video games. I just have to keep playing by YouTube's ever-changing rules. So if you have a comment that gets deleted, I'm sorry, and I promise it wasn't me. Feel free to come to the Patreon and post there. It's free, and I love hearing from you all, even if we may not always agree. But anyways, let's get into it. First up, we have top romance game, Paradise Lost. It is rare that you'll see a harem game take the time to flesh out all of the romantic interactions. But then I guess you do have a lot of free time when stranded on an island. In harems, oftentimes, love interests just become a statistic, background character, or, in the case of The Witcher, a trading card. In Paradise Lost, you will discover each character's hopes and dreams and work to fulfill them. As with any well-tailored narrative that isn't Baldur's Gate 3, you are limited to one ending. But I am excited to see what's to come in Paradise Lost 2, as well as the developer's new RPG, Sinner's Landing. Paradise Lost is available on Steam for PC, Mac, SteamOS, and Linux, as well as for Android through their Patreon, and a playable web browser version on itch.io. I have a lot to say about this year's top NTR game, Sword Art Online: The Trap of Breath-Concealed Magic. When I first covered the top new Patreons of 2023, this Sword Art Online parody was ranked second after only being out for a month. The game's novel use of unusual features in the RPG Maker engine made this one of the most innovative, oblivious protagonist NTR games I've ever seen. I fully expected this game to claim the #1 spot for top new Patreon of 2023. However, after the arrest of Shirakami-san, an NSFW Genshin animator on Patreon, by the Chinese authorities, the developer of this SAO game, Fujino, deleted their Patreon and left China. Fortunately, the developer is now living and working in Japan, and development on Part 2 of this game is ongoing. Their CN page now has over 20,000 subscribers, and an English translation of Part 1 was just released by Saiki Studios, called NTR Online. It does remove all of the SAO references for obvious commercial reasons, but 50 Shades of Grey started as Twilight fanfiction, so even if Saiki Studios can't say this is a Sword Art Online game, I still can. Sword Art Online: The Trap of Breath-Concealed Magic is available for PC on CN with an English translation on Saiki Studios. Back in September, I covered this year's top harem game, Love and Sex Second Base, which takes a classic Japanese dating sim format and proceeds to add so many layers of quirky, customizable complexity. You're able to pursue or ignore every romanceable character in the game. Certain character combinations will result in dramatically different harem configurations and endings. There are so many optional flavors to explore, except for male homosexuality and the tragic inability to romance the bear that lives in the woods. For those looking to play as a female protagonist, development is continuing on the expansion Breed Story. Love and Sex Second Base is available for PC, Mac, SteamOS, and Linux on Steam, with an Android version on their Patreon and itch.io. A free public demo is also available on these platforms. So one of the problems I am facing with the top LGBTQIA+ game category is that male homosexual titles are currently way more popular than female homosexual titles in the adult game space. And Futanari games seem to exist in their own classification of sexuality, independent of gay or straight. I would love to hear your opinion on how to address this imbalance moving forward. Until then, for the third year in a row, our winner is a yaoi title. Congrats to the Symbiont for being top LGBTQIA+ game. It may be the top, but don't worry, you do still have the option in this romance to be the bottom, if you prefer. Dad jokes aside, this is a fantastic sci-fi adventure with full voice acting, but no animations. The Symbiont is available for PC, Mac, SteamOS, and Linux on Steam, with an Android version on their Patreon and itch.io. Top Monster Game was our closest category this year, with Demon's Roots narrowly beating out Scarlet Maiden. I understand that Demon's Roots may just look like a standard RPG Maker corruption game, but there is way more than that to experience. From its old school soundtrack that reminds me of the Yi series, to its very, very heavy storyline, this is one of those experiences that you will enjoy playing through if you enjoy Heartache, as much as a fan of Demon's Souls enjoys dying. Demon's Roots is available for PC on Steam, Kagra, and GOG, where you can get the free patch to restore content. Now we are in the opinion part of the video with Best Girl. I try to pick which person or character has done the most to promote the safe and healthy exploration of sex and sexuality in video games. This year's pick was not tough because I didn't know which game to pick from, but which character to pick from in the game. Baldur's Gate 3 is the highest scoring PC game to come out in my lifetime, and is one of the greatest games that I have ever played that didn't have Mario. So who do I pick? The vivacious Karlach? The brooding Shadowheart? Astarion the omnisexual? Nope. The best girl for 2023 is Halsin, the wood elf druid berserker. Let's be fair, no one has done more to normalize the furry flavor since Zootopia. Baldur's Gate 3 is available for PC and Mac on Steam and GOG. I covered this year's best art in a game earlier this fall. This Romantic World is a visual novel prequel to the webcomic of the same name. I love how the hand-drawn style, the character consistency, animations, and the detailed backgrounds blend together to create a vibrant and living world. I played a lot of video games in 2023, and it really helps my zoomer attention span when a game is pretty. This Romantic World is available for PC, Mac, and Linux on their Patreon, with a demo available on itch.io. I was worried that a game was going to win 2 different categories this year, and was all set to choose Demon's Roots for best music in a game. But then Flip Witch Forbidden Sex Hex released, and completely blew me away. I mean, okay, Baldur's Gate 3 has a great soundtrack too, but even if you don't like platformers, check out the Flip Witch soundtrack on Spotify. There's jazz, funk, techno, and bubblegum bounce. I mean, the soundtrack's no Katamari Damacy, but it's close. Flip Witch Forbidden Sex Hex is available for PC on Steam. Every year, one of the most popular questions I'm asked is, what games do you like, Annie? I always worry that I'll show too much preference if I share my particular likes and dislikes too much, so this is the one time each year when I share my favorite game. For 2023, my favorite game is Project Passion Season 1, which is hilarious because the developer did not like my review. I guess I did an okay job maintaining my journalistic integrity. Seriously though, this sci-fi adventure is witty, and I found the story to be really entertaining. If you like visual novels with great world building, definitely check this one out. Project Passion Season 1 is available for PC, Mac, SteamOS, and Linux on Steam, with an Android version on the Patreon and itch.io. Now we're back to the empirical rankings and the adult game of the year for 2023. This is not just the top rated adult game on Steam for 2023, it is one of the top rated adult games of all time on Steam. With a higher rating than each of the previous 3 winners, Being a Dick, Treasure of Nadia, and Fresh Women, the adult game of the year for 2023 is Village Rhapsody. I covered this slice of life harem farming game back in May with the title, Will this be Game of the Year for 2023? At the time, I was accused of clickbait, but we did eventually get to the answer to this question. Yes, Village Rhapsody is the adult game of the year for 2023, and is available for PC on Steam. There you have it. 2 of the top games this year came out of the Chinese market, and with the quality of translation we're starting to see with software like ChatGPT, I'm so excited for 2024. As more and more people all over the world find ways to safely explore sex and sexuality in video games, I'm hopeful that more countries will realize the benefit to society that the adult games industry brings by lowering crime and improving mental health. Thank you so much for an amazing 2023, and thank you so much to my patrons. Almost every one of these videos is suppressed and demonetized by YouTube, so Patreon is how I keep sex-positive gaming going. I know not everyone is in a position to help financially, and I appreciate everything everyone is doing to support the channel. You all are amazing. Until next time, no shaming, just gaming. Thanks to all this month's support on Patreon. I wouldn't have been able to do this without you all.